Hello, Scriven County School math teachers. Welcome to this overview of IXL, a program that we currently subscribe to for mathematics in grades kindergarten through high school. I'm your instructional technology coach, Marlene Harris, and in this overview, I would like to go over the profile and the settings in your account, 3 ways to select skills that you would like for your students to practice, 3 ways to assign those skills, and also 3 ways to set expectations for those skills. We'll look at the SMART score and how it is calculated, the analytics of the program, which is the powerhouse of using IXL with your students, and also we'll look at how to log in and create rosters for our classes. So let's begin on our overview of IXL. As we begin, a quick reminder about adding students to the IXL program. We ask that teachers do not add any new students to IXL. All new students are added to the program as they are enrolled into our school system. Not only does this save you time, but it also prevents duplicate students in the account and keeps us from exceeding our account limits. So a little bit about the program itself. It covers math material from pre-K to calculus. The questions are computer generated and they do not come from an item bank. So no matter how many times your student repeats the skill, they should not see a repeat of the questions. It adapts to the student's ability in real time. It maintains the student's zone of proximal development, which is the area in between what the learner can do by themselves and what they cannot do even with assistance. It is student-paced. IXL is a supplemental program, not a replacement for instruction in the classroom. It should be used as a resource so that the students can practice their math skills and build accuracy and fluency. IXL is a skills practice site. It is not an instructional curriculum. It does not present problems that are at higher DOK levels. IXL has a different purpose than USA Test Prep, which is another program that we subscribe to in our school system. USA Test Prep is a program that is designed to help them prepare for their standardized test, and IXL is a program that helps them build their math skills. IXL will adapt to the student's skill level in real time. So if the student response is correct, the rigor will increase and the scaffolding will decrease. The opposite is also true. If the response is incorrect, the rigor will decrease and the scaffolding will increase. At this time, we do not have system-wide expectations of use in the classroom. The teacher has the discretion of how to integrate IXL into the classroom routine. Some possible uses for IXL would be to review previous year's skills, to do some small group instruction, remediate or accelerate, and also to allow students to practice at home. To log into IXL, you can go to our school system website and on the Employee tab, go to the Symbaloo and scroll down and you'll see the IXL login link. You'll notice that the URL in our link has /Scriven at the end. Students and teachers need to make sure that they are logging in to our Scriven County portal and not just IXL.com. If you need any assistance with your username or password, please send me an email and I'll make sure that you're able to log into your IXL account. In the top right corner beside your name, you'll see an arrow. You can go there to update your profile and choose your settings. You'll need to make sure that you update your display name. That's what your students and parents will see whenever they log in on IXL. If you need to change your password, you can use the password change link. If you scroll below the teacher profile, you'll see settings for your account. You can choose to receive weekly summary emails. You can choose to hide the grade levels. 1, 2, and 3 would be replaced with letters of the alphabet. This will keep other students from knowing if the student sitting beside them is working behind a grade level or 2. You can also choose to hide the timer for those students that get stressed out by seeing how long it takes. With IXL, it's not about getting through quickly. IXL stresses accuracy over speed. You can also enable the read aloud for grades 3 through 5. After you make any changes, make sure that you click Submit. Under the IXL top banner, you'll notice 3 tabs: Learning, Analytics, and Inspiration. We'll start in the Learning tab. There are 3 ways to select skills that you would like for your students to practice. The first way to select a skill is to go to the Georgia Standards tab. Here, all of the skills are aligned to our GSE standards. Scroll down and choose your grade level. The skills are nested under each of the standards that they're linked to. You can hover over a skill to get an example of what type of question the students would be presented with. The second way to choose a skill is to go directly to the math content. So under the Learning tab, click Math. You have 2 viewing options. You can choose by grade level, or you can choose to view by topics. Under grade level, you'll see the grade levels listed on the left-hand side, so you'll need to choose your grade level. Then all of the skills are listed under each topic. If you're interested in seeing the vertical alignment of the topics throughout the grade levels, you may choose to view the skills by topic. The third way to select skills for your students is to use the search window at the top. Type in the topic that you're interested in, and all of the skills associated with that topic will populate for you. There are 3 ways in the program to assign skills to your students. In the Math tab, if you hover over any of the skills, then you'll notice a star will populate just to the left. If you click the star, then that skill will be assigned to all of your students in all of your classes. The second way to assign a skill is to click on the skill to open it up, and then scroll to the bottom right and you should see a Share to Classroom icon. Click here to open the Google Classroom Assignment tab. Choose the class that you would like to assign it to, and then choose what type of assignment you would like to create. The third option to assign a skill is to right-click on the skill, choose to copy the link address to your clipboard, and then you can paste that link in a document, on a website, or in Google Classroom, or however you would normally push your links out to your students. When setting expectations for the student's progress in IXL, there are 3 things to consider. The first way that you might want to set expectations is based on the number of questions answered. You may want to set an expectation of a certain number correct. This would be appropriate after instruction. You could also set the expectation for the number of questions that were attempted. This would be appropriate before instruction and would give you a good determination of where your student stands on that skill. You could also set an expected amount of time to be spent on the practice site. Just be aware of idle time between the questions that the students are answering. The third way to set expectations is based on the SMART score. Before you set expectations based on the SMART score, you need to be aware of how the SMART score is calculated and what might be a reasonable SMART score to expect from your students. The SMART score is a proficiency score and it is not a grade. Therefore, you may need to educate the parents to let them know a little bit about the SMART score. For most students and most skills, it's going to be a challenge to get a SMART score of a 100. Again, it is not a grade, it's not a percentage correct. It indicates progress toward their proficiency with that skill. There are 4 things that go into calculating the SMART score. The first is the number of problems that the student completed. The second is the number of correct and incorrect responses. The third is the problem difficulty. And the fourth is the consistency at which the students are getting the problems correct. There is a high reward for a series of correct responses. The SMART score is in no way based on time. IXL stresses accuracy over speed. A SMART score of 70 to 79 indicates that the student is proficient on that skill but not yet consistent. A SMART score of 80 to 89 shows that the student has a good understanding of the skill. And when they reach the SMART score of 90, they're entering the challenge zone. To get 100, which is considered mastery, that means that they have successfully completed the challenge zone with 10 questions correct in a row. So there is that high reward for your consistency. So when you're setting the SMART score, you need to consider, are you looking for proficiency or mastery? That will all depend on the skill level of the student, the difficulty level of the skill, and what your objective is in having them practice the skill in IXL. At this time, as a school system, it has been decided not to use an IXL grade as a standalone grade in Infinite Campus. It can be used for extra credit or bonus points, incentives, or class competitions. Let's move on to the Analytics tab, which is just to the right of your Learning tab. On the Analytics tab, you'll have a dashboard that will give you a summary of your students' current progress. You'll be able to determine how many questions have been answered by all of your students. You can also see on the link below the top items that your students need help on. In the center, you can tell how much time your students have spent practicing. You can also see which students have been practicing the most. On the right, you can see how many skills your students have made progress in. You can also click the link to determine which skills have been most popular with your students. Scroll below the dashboard to see the questions that have been answered for the last 7 days. You'll see a summary. You can also determine which questions have been answered at school or during school hours and which have been answered at home during home hours. Below your question summary, you have an analytics summary. These cards will give you a summary of each type of report that's available in IXL, and you can also click here to go directly to that particular report. Scroll below your reports to see additional resources that are available. Back at the top of the page, you have a link to each type of analytic report that's available. We'll start our review of some of these reports, beginning with our real-time report. The real-time report will give you a live summary as your students are practicing. Anytime your students are practicing during class, have the Real-Time Center open. This will help you determine how many students are practicing, how many and which students are idle, how many and which students may need help, the number of skills that are in practice, and how many questions have been answered in the last hour by your students. Below that live summary, you'll see a student activity wall. Here you'll see a card for each student who is practicing. You can determine the progress that they're making. You'll be able to determine which skill they're practicing, the progress they're making, how many questions they've answered, which ones they got correct and incorrect, and what the current SMART score is on that particular skill. To group the students by the skills that they're currently practicing, turn this option on. The next analytic report we'll look at is the skills report. Here you can get a list of all the skills your students have been practicing and a quick analysis for each of those skills. One very big tip, you need to use the filters that are just below, or you're going to receive all of the skills that are currently in practice by all of our students in the school system. So make sure that you use these filters to filter by grade and by date. On the Trouble Spots report, you can determine which students are having trouble and what type of items they're getting stuck on. A best practice is to run a Trouble Spots report after your students have been practicing on the site at home. Again, make sure that you use your filters to narrow your results. Another report that may be useful is the questions log. The question log will allow you to review all the questions answered by a student and allow for a little analysis or one-on-one review. Click the printer icon to print questions for those students who may not have internet access at home and need a little additional practice. The scores report will allow you to see the SMART scores for every student on every skill. Click on the icon here to export your scores to a spreadsheet. You can also toggle between seeing what the score was on the student's best attempt and what their current SMART score is on the skill. The newest report in IXL is the diagnostic. When students log in, they can take a diagnostics test. The test will determine where they are on each of the mathematics domains. Also, each student will be presented with skills that they need to work on in an individualized learning plan. For more information on the new diagnostic tool, you can go to Inspiration, then click on the webinar schedule. You can view the different webinars on the new continuous diagnostic and sign up for a webinar that is convenient for you. Recorded webinars are also available on the IXL YouTube channel. In YouTube, you can search for Introducing the IXL Diagnostic Tool to find this webinar. The webinars, whether recorded or live, are generally 30 minutes in length. This may be something that your Math PLC would like to review together, or as pre-work, you can view it individually and then come together to discuss in your PLC. To create your class roster, use the drop-down arrow in the top right corner and go to Roster. Here, you can choose to create individual classes, or you can add all of your students on one roster list. Either way is okay, as the data is going to follow the student and not the class that they're in. To begin, type the last name of your student and then choose that student from the drop-down list that appears. If you have a student that does not appear on your list, please send me an email so that I can make sure that they're added into the program. Please do not add a new student into the program. After you add a student to your roster, their username and password will populate. As a general rule, the username and password is the student's AR number, but there are some exceptions to that rule. In addition, there are parent letters available that you can print or email or download an editable version. You can also have iExcel email you a list of the students' usernames and passwords. Thank you for viewing this iExcel tutorial. I hope that you'll find as your students practice on iExcel, their math skills continue to improve and provide the foundation on which to deepen their thinking and extend their depth of knowledge.